In this video, we'll be going over how to do the brainstorming for paper 1. So, before we begin the process, I recommend getting your supplies. So that means getting the 4 articles we've read, Cifferlin, Ruskin and Shore, Formicelli, and Kang. So getting those 4 articles or just grabbing your reader. Then I also recommend getting the reading packets. And in this video, I'm going to show you how to get ideas for topics from your reading packets. But you won't need those for this. If you might find another way to come up with the topics yourself. And another thing that you will need is the handout, the paper 1 brainstorming. And I'll show you what that table looks like. This is available on Blackboard. It was a handout in class on February 7th, and it's also available in the Living Reader supplement. A couple things to note about this process are that you will need to fill out at least 4 rows to get full credit for the assignment. And I think that's a good practice because you'll be required to write at least 3 to 4 body paragraphs, and each row in your table is the equivalent to and is going to frame the body paragraphs. You need to have it's based on a topic, so we'll see how that works together, how that kind of translates into a successful body paragraph. So if you have 4 rows filled out, that means you have at least 3 or 4 topics to you have at least 4 topics to choose from, and you can use those to build your 3 to 4 body paragraphs and think of how you want to shape them. And also another note is that some boxes might be empty. Not all authors discuss a topic you include. So if these 2 things that I've just mentioned about the process don't quite make sense, that's okay. I'm going to show you what I'm talking about and refer to the actual handout and come back to these. So let's go ahead and I'm going to get the paper. So this is the paper that you're going to need. It has the different possible topics here, and then it lists the 4 articles on the top. So these are the 4 articles that we've read, and this is a possible topic. So what has happened is that the reader has gone through, looked at all the different topics that emerge in the articles, and found that effects on children and effects on health. These are 2 themes that come up throughout one or more of the articles. And we've begun filling it out for you so that you can see that in paragraph 7 of Let's Move, but not with Shaq and Beyonce, the Cifferlin article, you can see that in paragraph 7, it's talking about the hypocrisy of celebrity endorsement. Paragraph 9 through 10 talks about confusion for kids, and paragraph 11 also talks about the positive effects on kids of these advertisements. And in this table, you don't have to include full sentences. This is just putting down ideas. So you can even do drawings or things like that, whatever you can come back to and use for ideas. The rest of the boxes are left blank. Some of these reference paragraphs in the different articles where you can find the ideas. So for example, if you look in the Ruskin and Shore article in paragraph 8, you'll find information about about effects on children from that article. And same here in paragraph 17 in the Kang article, you will find information about the effects on children. So what I'm talking about when I say 4 rows, this right here is a row. So I'm referring to this idea that you need to fill out 4 rows. So you're filling out here. What's nice is that some of it's already done for you. So you can fill out row 1, effects on children, row 2, effects on health, and then pick out at least 2 more topics and fill out the rows right here. So one thing you might want to think about is how that some of the boxes might be empty. So you might not include a certain author or article in a row. So what that means is that the effects on children, while it comes up a lot in Sifferlin, Ruskin and Shore, and Kang, there might not be that much about it in the Formicelli article. You might be able to find something, but if you're not finding anything or it's not as interesting as the other articles, you can leave that one blank. You don't have to use an author or a source for every row. So that's what that means when that says some boxes might be empty. Not all authors discuss a topic you include. So let's think about, how do you come up with other topics? Um, what can you use? So remember, the idea is you don't want to be too broad. If you're to say, oh, I want the topic to be advertising, that is way too broad. That's even more general. That's what the unit is called. That's just too general. Remember, these are ideas you want to have be the basis of your body paragraphs. These are going to be the subjects of your body paragraph. So something like advertising is not going to work. But something more specific like these effects on children, so the effects of advertising on children, effects on health, the effects of advertising on health. These are good because these are more specific. And what I'm going to say is I'm going to go back and say that I think if you can go into the reading packets and kind of use um, the themes from there. And this is going to be a place where it's important to do good annotations because right now there's reading packets that are pointing out the important ideas to you. When you don't have the reading packets to ask the questions, to kind of bring the more central ideas to the surface, you'll have to have good annotations and good reading skills so that those main themes surface. So let's go to the Sifferling reading packet. And I'm specifically looking at the portion that talks about the reading questions. And I think that's going to be the final page of the reading packet. And what we have there are these 4 different people mentioned. And it asks, who are they and what do they say? So kind of looking at this, you can even make your own category, your own topic. You don't have to use that. You might, again, this is brainstorming. You can have terrible ideas that you don't use at all. It's quite okay to do that. That's what brainstorming is all about. So just looking at this idea of we're going to look at a certain person and see what they say. I think that can work as a category where you have experts and their opinions. So again, this might not be a thing we end up using, but I think it's a good start and it's a good way to kind of brainstorm. Another category that I think we can look at. Let's look at the Ruskin and Shore reading packet. So if we look at page 4 of the reading packet, what we have are this this table that says what advertisers have done and what has been done against advertisers. So what we can think about is maybe framing this as something like, let's see, we've got, the actions against advertisers. Actions against advertisers. That's one thing that we can put down as a possible theme. There's a lot of different themes that can emerge from this process. So I'm just showing you that if you look at the reading packets, you can look at some of the main themes that come up. We can see the impacts, and that's actually impacts was sort of already covered by effects on children and effects on health, but you can maybe even make, another category about impacts and think about maybe is that something that gets used in other articles. So let's see, if we look at some of the other reading packets, those ones didn't focus on a theme as much. They were much more broad. So it's going to depend on your own annotations. your own ideas that really what emerged from what the notes you made, and what do you remember as coming across in multiple different articles. So I'm going to show you the brainstorming table that I've been working on a little bit. So I've got, just like I did in the other one, this row that is about opinions from experts. And then I have this bottom row that has actions against advertisers and companies. So that's my first page. These are the categories I've come up with. And I came up with some more possible topics. So results of actions against advertising, government policy, how advertising is extremely pervasive, and then advertising strategies. So those strategies from the companies. So these are a few different recommendations that I have. You can probably come up with your own, thinking about what you want your thesis to be, what you want the theme of your paper to be based on the prompt. So again, this is brainstorming. I encourage you to kind of think about the content, see what ideas emerge, so that when you're putting your paper together, you have the ideas laid out in front of you and you're able to pick and feel what works best for you. So I can show you that in this, I filled out this fourth row, so row number 4 for me, and in the article Let's Move, but Not with Shaq and Beyonce by Sifferlin, I said that the main actions against advertisers and companies there was criticism from experts against the Let's Move campaign, but not much beyond that. There wasn't any kind of lawsuits or much beyond that, but that's what happened. And then the result of that was that stars like Beyonce, who have appeared in junk food ads, haven't been featured in more recent ads from Let's Move. So that did come up. If we looked at Every Nook and Cranny, The Dangerous Spread of Commercialized Culture by Ruskin and Shore, I said that the actions against advertisers and companies was the commercialization of the Smithsonian has mostly been stopped after a few different sponsorships. There's limited advertising to children in some European countries, and that was the article that we read and did a reading packet for that really focused on those actions against advertisers. So that's just a couple of the things that have been done. So you can really add a lot more. Let's go back. So for Is Nothing Sacred by Linda Formicelli, I added a few different things that have been done against advertisers or companies. So first of all, the consumers tune out and then ads don't stand out. Another thing that came up was advocacy groups work to limit advertisements. People use tech to avoid ads. People sending angry letters to CNN for airing ads in classrooms. State, local, and federal government enacting laws against advertisement. And then the mental environmental movement was a movement, social movement against advertising companies. So those are some things that come up from the Formicelli article that sort of showed how these different actions against advertisers and companies. The final article was from Cecilia Kang about the policy that is being explored as YouTube Kids is the content there is emerging as having advertisements within it. And then what's happening against YouTube is that a campaign for commercial-free childhood, they filed a complaint against YouTube for offering junk food ad as content on YouTube Kids. And then what is happening is the FTC is investigating YouTube and looking into that and seeing kind of what the problem is. So you can see that there is a way that maybe these two rows, the actions against advertisers and companies and the results of actions against advertisers, it's possible you could separate these or combine them together depending on how you would like to structure your paper. but I encourage you as much as possible, think about how to categorize the information from the articles. See what themes come up. We don't have a lot of time to do this in class, so it's really important that if you can sit down with the articles, think about what you understand about the articles. Think about what you know about the articles and what details you can pick out as support, as evidence, as we discuss this topic of advertising. So, what's important to remember is that you can use one of these rows to be your to be a body paragraph, and that's going to be what the next video is about. So showing how you can take this information right here in one of these rows and make it into a body paragraph. I hope this clarified anything for people that might be a little bit confused about the process of brainstorming. The goal is that you're able to generate some ideas, and then that way when you write, you're focusing on the structure and not so much the content. And again, I'll be posting in the next video how you can take this information, take this content and structure it into a nice solid body paragraph.